This is Diana Sullivan in Austin, Texas. I had some requests from Brother 970 owners to demonstrate how to do the lace edgings, the Enchanted edgings, which are automatic lace edgings, and they're in a book of mine on the Brother 970. Really, you're going to put this in as a two-color Fair Isle pattern, and then you're going to knit it in a special way because the technique is just weird. But what you get with this weird technique is this really pretty scalloped edge. And these are just beautiful along the edges of scarves. I've even used them around the bottoms of sleeves. So, here's how to do an enchanted edging on the Brother 970. The first step is to put in the pattern chart. You're going to enter it exactly as it's shown in the book. Begin by going to the main menu and then go across using the dial until the design window is highlighted in the window. And go ahead and press enter. And then in the design program, you want to press this first one, which shows the pencil and the little picture of a flower. So that's enter. Enter means yes. And then it's going to ask you about pattern coloring. Now, even though this is a lace pattern, we put it in as a two-color pattern. So choose the little pencil with the 2 on it and press enter. Then it wants to know how many stitches that the pattern is. Well, this pattern, far, far away, is 24 stitches wide. So I type in the numeral 2 and 4 and press enter. Now it asks how many rows. I clear it because it's got 898 in it, and I put in 48 because this pattern is 48 rows tall, and I press enter. Now I have an opportunity to start putting in the black and white dots in the pattern. The very first row of this pattern is all the black dots. Button number 2 is the black dot button. So I press 2 and then I press the right arrow over here to continue going to the right. It goes a little slower a couple of times because the screen has to stop and scroll to the right. Now I'm going to go up a row using my dial, and I'm going to move all the way to the left, which takes a minute, so that I can put in row number 2 of my pattern. I know that I'm all the way to the left when this little mark here says 1X. It means I'm on the first stitch. For row number 2, I have a white dot, then a black, then 4 whites, then a black, then 4 whites, and then a black. So I will put that in. The first one's white, I'll just move over. I'll put a black dot here. Then I need 4 white ones. 1. I have to click 5 times to leave 4 white spaces. Then a black dot. And then another black dot, and that's all row 2 has. Row 2 only has the 3 black dots. Now, studying my pattern book, I see that row 3 is an empty row, and row 4 has 3 black dots beginning at the left edge, and there also have 4 white dots in between them. So I'm going to go up a row with my dial to skip row 3, go up another row to get to row 4, move to my left edge, and as I move I can see this number going down. When it says 1, I'm there. Black dot, 4 white dots, black dot, 4 white dots, and a black dot. Now I'm going to continue working from the bottom of the pattern up to the top, carefully putting in the black and white marks so that I will have my pattern programmed in the CB1 of the 970. Now let's make an edging on the 970. The needle arrangement for Enchanted Edgings is from 12 left to 12 right. So I have some knitting already cast on, 12 left to 12 right, 24 stitches. And the lace carriage needs to have in needle suppression turned off. This is easy to do. The lace carriage has some pink cams on the back of it, and it has these little black tabs which are up. That means that I have end needle suppression on. I want it off for Enchanted Edgings. I put a tappet in the little screw in the middle, and it'll only turn one way, and it makes that tab drop down. I have to do that on both sides, and that's one of the steps before you can knit an Enchanted Edging. Back at the CB1 control box, I'm just going to check my row counter and make sure it's on 0. And then I'm going to check the 1, 2, 3 pattern button and make sure that I'm on pattern row 1 before I start to knit. Then I'm going to go to the little sweater icon, which is the knitting icon, and press enter. I'll be looking at the dashboard for knitting. The dashboard shows that I'm on pattern row 1, row counter 0, and there's a little picture of my pattern. To set the carriage to select needles, I'm just going to reach back to the change knob and move it to KC2. Now I'm going to do the setup row. I knit one row from right to left with the main carriage on KC2. None of the carriage buttons are pushed yet. It selects every single needle. I go over to the carriage and I press both part buttons. That sets me up for the rest of the pattern. All the rest of the work will be with both part buttons in. Now I knit across with both part buttons. This setting means that the main carriage will only knit selected needles. However, now I'm ready for the lace carriage. Well, how do you tell when you're ready for the lace carriage? It's a lace carriage row when you only have a few selected needles. In this case, I only have 3, and this particular pattern is 2 rows main carriage and then 4 rows lace carriage. Now, you can tell it's a lace carriage row because it's scattered needles. You know you're about to do a main carriage row when it's a big block of continuous needles. Now I'm going to move the lace carriage off the extension rail onto the bed. Only one carriage on the bed at a time. If the lace carriage is on the main bed, then the main carriage has to be on the extension rail. If the main carriage is on the bed, then the lace carriage has to be on the rail. That's because for this technique, both carriages are selecting needles. They can't both be on the belt. So the lace carriage comes on, and it does 4 rows, transferring stitches, and you know that it's finally time for the main carriage when it selects most of the needles. When you're through with the lace transfers, then you really must move that lace carriage completely off the bed. Now, 2 rows with the main carriage. Now at this point in time, not every stitch is selected. It's not going to knit every needle, only the ones in D position. The ability of the main carriage to skip needles is what gives us the beautiful little scallops. So we did our 2 rows main carriage, bring the lace carriage on off the extension rail, and do the 4 rows. Then completely off the bed, main carriage, 2 rows. Completely off the bed, lace carriage, 4 rows. Completely off the bed, main carriage, 2 rows. Completely off the bed. Do not attempt this pattern without your extension rail. Completely off the bed, and so forth. That's how you do the Enchanted Edgings on the 970.